Hi, I'm Andrew Watson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's July 15th, 2012. This time around, we're going to go to Fairfield, Iowa, where we had Brent write in with this question. He says, so far, I've been at the guitar learning it for 2 years. Did the basic lessons at first, but now I want to get serious and get into scales, keys, arpeggios, and chords. What would you suggest as a practice routine for going along this path? I'm a total novice when it comes to doing this, so a basic but proper approach is what I'm after here. I'd like to become a professional one day. Thank you, from Brent in Fairfield, Iowa. Well, thanks for writing in, Brent. You know, it's excellent that you have an interest in learning your keys, the scales, and chords. And of course, completing a thorough study of all these areas will most definitely take you years to research and design your personal concept of practice and eventually become highly proficient at all there is to know to be a well-rounded player. So to help you in getting started, I'm going to give you a solid approach to follow that will be an excellent way to begin working with your keys, scales, arpeggios, and chords. Now, to begin with, let's take a look at a scan I made of one of my old practice schedules. So I thought I would begin by showing you an old practice schedule of mine. This thing is probably at least 20 years old, but this is what I used to use for about a 4 to 6 week period when I was doing a lot of intense study. You can see here highlighted at the top are various keys, and they're all segregated into days. I created a rotational days cycle, so you can see it's basically a 5-day cycle moving along here. And in the 5 days, I cover a wide assortment of things. It's really a huge amount of information. And I always started off, here, let's just maybe quickly go through day 1 on this cycle. I would always start off with a little bit of quick review work. You can see here I'm working on some major and I'm working on some mixolydian. And then I move into scale study, and I have some specific scales here. I'm working on whole tone, diminished scale, harmonic minor, dominant diminished, Locrian, a little bit of work on chromatic and melodic minor, Phrygian. So it's not like I'm going to spend a whole lot of time on each one of these scales, but my intention when I was doing this kind of work was to touch base on each one of these for maybe 2 or 3 minutes and just bang them off every single day, just completely getting into a routine of practice and exercise on these particular scales. So I would run those down, maybe take a break. I kind of divided the page here with some lines, showing the breaks I would take, and then I'd move on. You can see here I got triad chord and arpeggio, dominant 7th, major 7th, augmented, diminished 7th, and I wrote arpeggio, but really it's both arpeggio and chord work, probably playing anywhere from 3 to 5 different voicings along the neck, and then trying to hammer out the same amount in terms of fingerboard shapes for the actual arpeggio pattern. So it's again only maybe 2 or 3 minutes amount of time on each one, but it's just the fact that over this 5-day cycle of going through all this material, you begin, after, let's say, 6 months to 8 months of work like this, you begin to really get this stuff down. It's well memorized. Also, another thing I did when I was making practice schedules for myself is I always had a short list I would create at the bottom of the page here, of some things I wanted to keep in mind about these scales. Like here it says harmonic minor. The important color tone is the raised 7th from the typical natural minor scale. You want to use it over dominant or major 5 chords in a minor key. Little notes like that to yourself as you're making up your routines are very valuable. So next, let's go to the guitar neck, and I'd like to run down a typical way that I would practice this type of routine. The first thing to do is think of the major tonality set of keys that we see used in music. The most popular ones, starting, of course, with C major, which basically has no sharps, no flats. It's the neutral key. And then for sharp keys, we'd have, G major, D, A, and E major. For the flat keys, you could have F major, B flat, E flat, and A flat. Now, those are the most popular, but eventually you'll, of course, want to learn all of your keys. And once you create your list and some kind of routine that works well for you, then you can move on to a practice approach similar to the one that I'm going to follow through with right now. Now, in my first example, I've started with an A major scale, and I'm playing from the 6th guitar string here in the 1st and 2nd fretboard positions. Here we go. next I've taken literally the exact same pitches. However, now I'm playing them from off of a new position, starting at the 4th position off of the 6th string here. Okay, now in my next scale layout, I'll be moving into a new register up an octave higher and playing the A major scale off of the 4th guitar string at the 6th position here. From there, I'll be relocating again, and I'll be going to the 9th fretboard position, playing from an A up at the 12th fret in 9th position. Okay, so the next plan of practice will move into the world of arpeggios, covering the same fingerboard positions and tonic notes that we had from our scales practice. However, now I'll be performing arpeggios in all those locations. Here's the first one. Okay, then we'll take that and we'll move the exact same notes over to 4th position of the same root. And then we'll transfer to the 4th string, the 7th fret A, play off of that note. And then finally we'll move up into the 9th position, play from the 12th fret of the 5th string A. Now the final part of this workout moves into chord shapes. For right now I'll be using major 7th quality chords, but you can of course also just as easily use triads if you'd prefer them. So here's the major 7th quality chords played in each of the same locations we just performed the arpeggios and the scales within. The first one's quite a stretch. Then we're going to move off the 6th string root in 5th position for the next one. And then we'll move off the 4th string root 7th fret to do the next one. And then we'll move into the 9th position to do the last one. Over time, every guitar player who gets serious and devotes a solid rehearsal routine to learning their scales, key signatures, arpeggios, and chords on their guitar neck will, number one, get really well trained at knowing their neck and knowing general theory applied to the fingerboard. But there is an added second bonus in that they will also eventually become so proficient that they'll be able to perform in almost any style and musical situation. And that means lots of phone calls for gigs and steady income as a professional guitar player. All it takes is devoting your skills and developing them over time, and it goes without saying, a lot of dedicated practice. Anyway, once again, thanks for joining me. That's about all the time I have for today. I hope all these ideas and explanations help you. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.